And we're back. I hope everyone's doing well and safe. We showed that North London is red. We showed London is red by putting to bed Spurs and Chelsea. Obviously, we've got a difficult test with Brighton away. And just before I head off to the gym, and I'm upset, man, because I put this in the wash over the weekend. I've obviously taken it out to go gym and I've bleached it up. But yeah, you know what? This will be house and gym clothes. The show must continue, folks. You know, everybody's crying. And I have a genuine question. Are you unhappy about the nature of set pieces, or is it because Arsenal are good at it? Because people don't like my club anyways. Nobody has a problem with corners. Every manager, and we're going to get into that individual, every manager, if they was on the other side of Mikel Arteta, especially around set pieces, they wouldn't have anything to say. For me, I don't care. When decisions or things go against us, we know that officiating in this country is terrible, but we have to hold it. And you would think that the world is Harry Potter and Arsenal of Voldemort. It's very pantomimey. And you know what? I'm all for fair criticisms. I'm all for us getting, pelters when we deserve it, fair praise when we get it. But if there's things that annoy me, is the inequality in life, let alone football. And again, I think about when we battered Manchester City at the Emirates and we beat Chelsea, the narrative has become in the manner of how we've run rather than analysis. And I don't even trying to make this about Chelsea. I know if Arsenal had an abysmal record against Chelsea, which we have once upon a time, what would have been said? If my players were getting yellow cards and red cards in the discipline, if we was in steady free fall after they've capitulated from a title race, where they set themselves in. This is what I mean about the narratives, it becomes more about the winners and less about the losers. As again, I don't really care about the outside noise. And one thing I like around set pieces and Arsenal Football Club is we used to get battered at them. Top six games used to be a write-off. Set pieces used to be a write-off. I've seen Ramsdale bundled into the box more times than I can care to count. Brentford, when they got promoted that initial season, we're told we're a soft touch. It's just we were victims and now we're not getting bullied anymore. And we've got a bunch of problems. But you name me a team that isn't exploiting dead balls and set pieces. And if you're not owing to the Premier League climate, you're in issues. Arne Slot, he's not as vocal about set pieces or his language has changed. Why? Because Liverpool have got better at it. Brentford and Liverpool actually two of the leaders, I feel, way before we got into this climate where everyone's on it, like leading the charge in that regard. So it's not making sense. I love David Moyes, but again, we're fans of the game first, our team second. David Moyes, I saw WWE when Man United versus Everton at set pieces, and he's crying about set pieces. So it's adapt or cease to exist, really. Fabian Hausler, who is a bit of a whinger and a moaner and stuff. When Declan Rice, that game, because I was in the media pass, when Declan Rice got sent off for 2 yellows, had a bit of a moan. He seemed like a bit of a, pardon my language, a prick, if I'm honest. Some of the way teams are blocking, there's no clear rule. But for me, the main topic is make a clear rule for how much time you can waste for a corner, for a throw-in, for a set, for a free kick. And again, go back a few years ago, and I'm going to do a video around this. Go back a few years ago. I remember when we dropped points against Newcastle and the ball was out of play and they were praised as the Arcot specialists. Now, don't get twisted. I'm not making this club about club, but the game is the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Every club should be looking to be good at dead balls and set pieces, should be looking for whatever the new wave is where football's concerned. So it's a jarring thing. And he said no one recognizes it, but when Arsenal have a corner and they're leading, sometimes they spend over a minute just to take a corner. It disrupts the rhythm of the game. And I remember when Chelsea did it. I remember Sky Sports did a whole big thing around when Chelsea players were fouled, when they were in their pomp and winning, when Chelsea players were fouled and how long it took Willian to restart proceedings and kicking the ball away. You name me a team that doesn't waste time, that doesn't milk fouls, that doesn't do all of these kind of things. This is football. And this is what I mean by all means, highlight my club about this, because I don't really care. It's just don't make out that everybody's holier than thou. Don't throw stones from a glass house. It's chattings, people. And then if you deep it, and this is one thing I like about social media fans, because they've panned him. When you look at average time spent per restarts, at the time, obviously, when this was there, we're not at the top end of it. Maybe because we've been leading a lot, but we're not at the top end. We are not at the top end of things, people. And we're a Brighton. Brighton and Arsenal, okay, we got you on that. All right. Well, goal kicks. You actually take longer than Arsenal Football Club at goal kicks. So should we highlight that? Should we highlight that? All right, then. Don't hate the player, hate the game. And there's several teams above Arsenal. Forest, Burnley, Palace, Spurs, West Ham, Aston Villa, Leeds United, Newcastle United, Sunderland, Brentford, Everton. Even Man United have got better at set pieces. Adapt or survive. In this day and age here, where, if anything, the traditional top 5, top 6 against each other, they're actually the kind of cooler games. You go back to the early 2000s, not that they were there, but Brentford, Bournemouth, Brighton, these games, in the early 2000s, late 90s, if Arsenal in the traditional top 6 or top 5 or whatever was playing against them, you're winning these games. More time, it's these games where you kind of F up. Every manager in this league is worth their own weight in salt tactically. You know, games are won and lost in midfield and, well, won and lost at either end of the pitch. But typically it's a congested midfield where it's more systemic football than about the individuals. Of course, you get them crazy games where it's just open and open and open. But for football fans, they get where I'm going, innit? It's not making sense. So when you do have a long throw, which Brentford have a great long throw. So if I'm Arsenal, which we've got a set piece culture, any club, okay, not just corners and dead balls. How can we do that with the throwing thing? It does not make sense. You know, naturally, you're going to look at people who are doing things better. If there was someone in the league playing tiki-taka football, like great tiki-taka football, I'd be looking at my club, yo, what can we learn from that? Remix it in our own way. Nothing is new in football. Everybody's an idea thief. You know, you look at all of these managers in the game, Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta, Carlo Ancelotti, Arsene Wenger. They've all got their own ethos and things like that, but they've all learnt from anywhere else. Bielsa has been a key part in a lot of things why these guys do what they're doing. Of course, what Pep Guardiola might think is the most important, Luis Enrique might think the least, so on and so forth, people. And this is what I mean. When you actually stop and listen, what's going on? Do I think my team's the most entertaining? 100% I don't. But last time I checked, how do you get corners? You have to go from your end, or at least the middle third, to the final third, right? Don't give the corner boys corners. Don't give us those corners, boy, because we might just score from the corners, boy. Simple as that. So it's just the parroting and the people that have vested agendas and they don't remain impartial, and it becomes an echo chamber. Okay, you hate this, I hate this. Let's get you all there. And it's also disingenuous as well, because I ain't heard anything. I've heard it this season, but I ain't heard anything about it for the last few weeks because we weren't scoring from set pieces. The minute set pieces has banged, what's happened? And then even that, is it just an Arsenal thing? Against Chelsea, of course, Delap had a chance. João Pedro didn't score or assist, had a good game. So did my centre-backs. That's another thing that annoys me about football. You know, if a striker has a good game, it means the defenders were bad, or the defenders were good, the striker's bad. It's lazy, absolute analysis. But when you deep it, where did the goals come from? There was 3 goals there, right? Where did they come from? Set pieces, no? Reece James, great game anyways. Fantastic delivery of a ball. I ain't felt that nervous in a hot minute. In fact, the last 2 times I've genuinely been nervous was Reece James taking a corner and obviously Kayonde of Brentford's throw. Not to say other teams ain't got good players and whatnot, but genuinely it felt like every time it's put in that area, it's an issue. And, Reece James and Chelsea actually had what led to the own goal. There was an identical moment just before that. So what are we talking about? So it can't just be an Arsenal thing. They've also scored from that. And also, last time I looked, which admittedly was a few weeks ago, people, yeah, Arsenal were actually second for open play goals. So I don't care in it. And this is why I need to win a title in it. And again, people are disingenuous. People can't be pleased. People will always move the goalposts. People have said some very different football to us, granted. People have said Manchester City boring. People defo said the Jose and Conte sides were boring. People said George Graham's Arsenal was boring. People have, you win the Invincibles, but you got 11 draws, you didn't lose. You won the treble, but you done it because of this. Liverpool win the league, it's taking you 30 years. You did it during the COVID years. There's always swings and roundabouts, but history has been made. So that's something that just needs to be like, by all means, have a laugh and a joke. You can have these thoughts if you genuinely believe it, but I just think you have to be impartial and just have a bit of common sense. But it's never going to change because there's going to be rage bait and engagement and things of that ilk. So you have to get used to it. There's going to be swings and roundabouts, people. And I think it's a bit disingenuous, yeah, because I'm not debating who's the most entertaining. I've seen my team be entertaining. What the hell did we win? But a lot of these ex-Man United players, and again, when I'm talking and referencing clubs, please don't think I'm making it tribalism because I'm not really on that. Let's be brutally honest. I'm 30. I've seen Man United win more Premier League titles and trophies than I care to count. Was the football always entertaining? Of course, they played great football. They were dangerous on the counter-attack. But was every title challenge side fun to watch? Let's not lie, man. And again, if you're a football manager or a professional footballer in the Premier League at this moment, do you care about entertainment? Of course, you want to win trophies, play great football, be solid defensively, entertain fans. But it don't make sense. And also, football is like music. As I just kind of made a reference to, yeah, what I might think is the most important, and next man could think is the least. There's different genres of music, right? I might like hip hop and rap and all these things. I might think heavy metal is boring or classical music's boring. So using the football analogy, I'm a Wenger baby, innit? I like tiki-taka. I like how the Invincibles used to play. I'm proud of Mikel Arteta for making us solid defensively because that has helped us with obviously the recruitment, bringing in physicality, doing all of these kind of things. But if somebody told me that the football we see in the Premier League is entertaining because they're a tactical nerd, how can I tell them anything? Because I even use Manchester City. Historically, people said it's robotic, it's boring, it's not entertaining. And part of me got that and agreed with that because as a neutral, it's death by 1,000 passes. But then also, I'm a footballing nerd. So when I'm doing research and I'm watching the games again and I'm seeing and listening to Pep as much as you can as an armchair expert, and you're listening as to why he's doing certain things and everything that goes into constructing that unit of what you're seeing on a match day, I don't think that's boring. But some people don't care about football at surface level. But you get where I'm going. I might even clip this part and put it in the video that I'm making. But yeah, big up yourself. Smash the like button. Let me know your thoughts on that, people. Ran over. Arteta said, I'm upset that we don't score more and that we concede as well. Facts, Gaffer, man, as every manager should be. And to be honest, Pep's a real one because this is my thoughts. Even if Arsenal was on the other side of it, because that's how I feel about refs. I would be here all day talking about PGMOL, several injustices, going back to Alex Ferguson's days and when we lost the Invincibles and the things that Gary Neville used to get away with, let alone all the injustices in modern day. But I also know there's been decisions that have gone for us. Mourinho could have been sent off this season. Odegaard, you know, the handball at Anfield. Obviously, the Gabriel Magalhaes one, it was given against Newcastle. It wasn't given, apologies, Newcastle, where it was against Spurs. That very Spurs game. Obviously, if you're a Spurs fan, you think Koulibaly Mawani's goal should have stood. But then you wanted a foul on Romero with Hugo Ekitike. We all know in the Premier League, there's a level of inconsistencies. It's mad inconsistent. If it goes for you, great. If it goes against you, hold that. Bit like Sunday League. Expect that. Don't give refs their decision to make. Control the controllables. That, I think when it comes to YouTube, I've been very consistent with that. But I think this is how I feel about it as well. Pep spoke on set pieces. You can complain or you adapt, and it's part of the game. Simple as that. And there's bad news if you want things to change because FIFA are not planning on changing corner kick laws. Now, I think that should be the bigger discussion because every player is, every team, every manager, if you really want the best for your team, whether you're trying to win a Prem, qualify for Europe, you stay in the division, you're going to find fine margins and milk it. This is what players do. How many times do you see players buy a penalty or buy a foul or play act or time waste? This is elements of the game, people. But if you want to have a discussion, there's a discussion to have about, because it's not just Arsenal, everybody's gripsing around corners, around the rules. The rules will change things. That's not happening right now. And apparently, FIFA has no plans to introduce new measures to address the growing issue of grappling and holding at corners after games lawmakers, the International Footballing Association Board, said the problem was not getting worse. I think they are not going to do it because it's not an Arsenal issue. It's not a footballing issue. It's a Premier League issue. Onslaught said it's no longer a joy to watch. And many a pundit, a player, a manager, or people that have held these positions, they say football's not entertaining. In many ways, I think football is entertaining because the levels of, anyone can beat anyone. Everybody's got access to great scouts and things like that. There is that you do get them sort of games, but as a purist, of course, there's not too many players individually you enjoy watching. There's not too many managers ethos you enjoy watching. There's not too many great games. Like there has been plenty high scoring games this season, but this is where the realm is. Football is about more athletes and tactical nous than it's ever been about why we love football at its purest level. That you can't even put into words. That just that you don't know what I'm talking about. That feeling as to why we watch football, that 30-second high. So yeah, man, it's clearly not a joy to watch, people. It's clearly not a joy to watch. I mean, there's several other examples, but we're going to use Arsenal once again. Either way, it is what it is. Completely off topic, but who would you guys start? What would be your starting lineup against Brighton? Because for me, I don't know why David Raya's name hasn't been installed. It's a bit harsh on David, especially with how you've been performing for us. But Raya, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié, Mascara, if Timber isn't really, really fit. I know he needs rest, but we need those 3 points. My resting and rotations around Mansfield. I do think you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you make rotations and we look like a team that's made rotations and we don't win, why did we do that with Mansfield on the weekend? Obviously, if you don't rotate, we don't get the result. You see where I'm going. Just get the 3 points, man. I can't lie. A part of me wants to chart Trossard, but Raya, Saliba, Gabriel, Hincapié, Mascara, Zubamendi needs a rest, but tactically we might need you against Brighton. Rice, Eze, Gyökeres, Noni on the right actually, and Saka on the left. Now in reality, you're probably going to see Martinelli or Trossard. A part of me, I don't think Havertz could start, but a part of me wants to see Havertz in midfield. Could you get Havertz in midfield with the Gyökeres relationship? You've got Saka on the right hand side. We get a bit of rotation. Could Saka go into the 10? I don't know, people, but Let me know your thoughts. Let's see what the gaffer has said. He's provided an update on Rice, Odegaard, and Kai Havertz, people. On Kai, he's done part of the session, so we'll have to wait and see whether he's available and in which condition. On Rice, I hope he's available. He was much better today. Obviously, we haven't really trained because we only have 2 days to prepare for the game, so hopefully it's going to be better tomorrow. So yeah, people. He's also confirmed Ben White won't be back to face Brighton, people. Max Dalman and Raya are both fit, and he's spoken about Zubamendi's minutes. There are different circumstances. Obviously, the number of games and competitions were involved in certain injuries as well. The fact that obviously he's been so well, and for the first year he's had a great season, we have to manage his fitness. He spoke about the World Cup. There are guys going with their national teams in March, and on top of that, we have a World Cup. So for sure, we have to keep an eye on. But they're going to break every record that they have in the past, whether it's in one season, 2 or 3, because the number of games they have is inevitable, and it's only going to get worse. You're only seeing more expanded tournaments, less break. You look at the last couple of seasons for some of these players going into this year, and then obviously they're playing in several domestic several competitions, international breaks scattered around the season. There is a World Cup, and then it's back to it. Because if anything, you probably have a week off and get to rest mentally, in fact, and spend with family. But even that, when these players are taking breaks, if you can't, like, if you go out of the World Cup, like someone like Declan Rice, let's just say England crashed out early, you don't get extra rest. In theory, you do, but you don't, because you know that you need to be X amount of weight. You know why it's important to start preseason well, because a lot of players, if you fuck up preseason, you're on this kind of trajectory, and you probably don't salvage how you personally feel about yourself and how good you're playing probably until the first half of the Premier League season isn't done. You watch any of these interviews, they say preseason is the worst time to get injured, and we all follow these guys on social media. They're all working with specialist coaches and nutritionists. They're all doing their own stuff outside of what their football club's telling them to do, and definitely in preseason. So I do think it's lazy if you say, oh, these guys get money. Yeah, that's true, but they're humans. And the product of football, this is another thing, going back to what we've been talking about, this is another thing that maybe doesn't make football as entertaining. A lot of games, it's more tactical than intuitive, if that's even a word. So, yeah, man, let's see everything the gaffers had to say. On his heart rate coming down on Sunday, after Sunday. Yeah, when the whistle went, done. So it wasn't for long. I think I have a very strong heart. It's been tested out since I was 2, since I was born. So basically been a few years. We spoke about Kai, but once again, he's done part of the session. On Odegaard, he'll say, we'll see. He said, we'll see. On Ben, he's not available. Max is available. He's quite short. Can't really draw too much. On Odegaard's injuries, yes, we have to wait and see how comfortable he is to do certain actions. But there's even been rumors on social media, him and Arteta have had a bust up. Now, I don't know Odegaard, Mikel Arteta, or anybody connected to Arsenal. So not going to speculate on that. On Rice, I hope so. Oh, sorry, we've gone over that as well. He said Raya's good to go. On set pieces, I'm upset that we don't score more and that we concede as well. So we want to be the best and the most dominant team in every aspect of the game. That should be the ambition of every team. And that's the trajectory and the aim of this team. And as a club, we want to be the same. So we'll try to do that. On being criticized, being good at set pieces, part of the job. Because how many points have we won via set pieces? There's so many things for Arteta to worry about, let alone how we're perceived. Because we could kill you by 1,000 passes, you would talk. We could be the most direct counter-attacking team, you will talk. We could play tiki-taka, you will talk. You could do anything, and they will talk and talk and talk and just never shut up, people. On game management, we have to do much better with the ball in our actions. And then I said a lot of credit to Chelsea as well, because from very tight situations, they produced the biggest chance from a cross. That is not a shot, converted into a shot, and David had to make a big save. That was a few days ago against Spurs in the second half. That's true, because we do shoot ourselves in the foot, and there's stuff around game management and being a bit better over 90 minutes. But too many times, it feels like, as an Arsenal fan, teams are not... Chelsea's an exception because they did have chances, but teams are taking too many half chances against us. So maybe I think I've seen enough from August to now. On top of everything, it's a pattern in it, so it needs to be addressed. So yeah, we do have to manage the game better. On managing nerves, we talk about every aspect of the game and managing a game, managing a result, managing a set time context. You have 10 against 11. It's a very important one. On Brighton, very, very good side. They're the way they're coached as well. They have a sequence of years as well with a very similar style and players that really fit really well and what they want to do. They believe in what they do. So there's always a tough opponent. On Eze out wide, I mean, he's just going to say, he's saying it there, relationships, opposition, it's Arteta knees in it. So we all know Eze can play out there. It's not that one now. On closing out games, we need to do a lot better. We know about our quality from set pieces. I don't know. I mean, you as an opponent, you get upset when you can see the goal. I was really upset that we could see the goal against Chelsea and Chelsea. Look at the quality that they have, the amount of set pieces they score. Man United are doing so well the same. When I was at City, we used to work on them a lot. So it's something, there are phases and there are moments when a team has an opportunity to do certain things and the game is evolving and the game is becoming more and more difficult. Because when you used to do a game plan, you just invert a fullback and bring an extra player into midfield, or as a false nine, opponents are finished. Big overload, 4v3 inside, 2v1 inside, time on the ball, so dominant, 70-80% of possession. The other opponent, 2 counter-attacks, set pieces, the game's done. Now teams are adapting. Teams know after every sequence of play, whether it's a throw-in or a sequence of play, an open situation or direct play, exactly what they have to do. And everything is almost man-to-man. So it's going to be a different game unless we change the rules, because the evolution of the game is that is facts. And that is, what can you say from there, people? Arteta did say he'd play as a 9 in the current era, people. The game is about winning. Obviously, you review, but the game is about winning. We know we need the crowd and energy. I'm not going to waste your lot's time on that. We have spoken about Zubi. On if you need control and dominance to win. If you can get control and get dominance, you have the best chance of winning every game, especially in the areas we want to win those games and what sequences we play that are more favorable for us. That's the objective. On Zubimendi, yes, I think of them as a pair. We always talk about these relationships and chemistry. There's one, and it's very strong off the field as well. That makes what happens on the pitch very, very special. On resting players, yes, like this with any player, you have to understand which games are more fitted for them and others as well. That's what we have to do. Understand how they're feeling, because there are moments when you feel it's right moment to go, and others when you say, I'm in a great moment, I want to continue to play. Listen, everyone needs to manage their game plan, needs to manage their emotions. We know data plays a big part. We know how important Bakayo is, but we just want more goals. We aren't keeping enough clean sheets, and I do think, I've been very critical about that all season, if I'm honest. Arteta asks Berta for signing. Arsenal make phone call for summer arrival. Let me guess, this is about Esposito, who apparently Arteta is a massive fan of. They make it clear Arsenal and Arteta were left impressed after the Champions League game. The manager is said to have told Andrea Berta to check on the possibility of signing the striker, who also caught the Italian's eye. Really? Who told you this? Where did you see it? Where was you eavesdropping? Bit weird. Don't know. Wouldn't mind him. Italian players very rarely want to leave the Italian league, and especially when they end up at these big clubs. Obviously, the Premier League money's up here. Italy is, all the top 5 are down here, but Italian football is really struggling. It's like going on holiday to Italy or any country. You're going to have to pay some serious rates because they know the Prem's flush with peas. Are we going to spend all of that on a striker, when maybe the bag could be spent on a left wing or other positions? I don't know. Apparently, Berta immediately contacted Intersporting director Pero Asulio. The Arsenal rep made inquiries about whether Esposito is for sale or not and about his asking price. Apparently, we received a short and firm response that there's no room for negotiations. They see him as a key player for the future. They have no plans to sign him, people. So, yeah, they paused any possibility of us getting him. So, yeah. Sounds great. We've gone over that. Not that I care. An Arsenal target that we were linked with, people. Rodrygo, unfortunately, will be missing the World Cup. Will be missing what's left of this season and maybe a big part of next year as well. He's torn his ACL and be out for the next 6 to 7 months. He's now expected to miss the World Cup with Brazil, which is horrible. And apparently, he faces 10 months out, people. And he's not expected to be back on the pitch until 2027, which sucks, if I'm completely honest. Speaking of Inter Milan and Italian players and defenders, actually, Arsenal have been linked with Bastoni, people. I can't see us spending the bag there, but apparently we're rivaling both Barcelona and Liverpool for that signature. We've been linked with Seni Mayulu, a talented wonder kid at PSG. Apparently we'll need to spend 60 to 70 million euros on that. We did cover that yesterday. Liverpool want to re-sign Kwanzaa. Man United are in talks with Gomares. Chelsea have made a bid for Rodrygo, which is getting shelved. Calafiori did speak about one day going back to Roma, but the media is making it something more than it's not, people. So, yeah, once again, we've made inquiries about the lad over there into Milan. Clearly, it's not evolved to nothing. And it's even caught the eyes of the Metro people. Apparently, are Arsenal being linked with Kwanzaa as well? Oh, this is Bastoni. So, yeah, even me, I got done by the clickbait. And finally, did you not see Tottenham are considering taking action against a scout who supports Arsenal, who joked he doesn't want the badge touching his skin? Don't ruin your livelihood, my boy. But once a Gooner, always a Gooner.
Like